Hope everyone's having an awesome Thursday. It is Friday Junior. Welcome. I hope everyone's having an awesome day. There we go. Hello, God Leader 1. Welcome. Judgment Free Zone. Quad Bennett. Derry Bennett. Michael Hassler. Welcome. Footlong. The Simulacra. Welcome. "89 days to the election, indeed." Those going after Kamal now after about Gaza would be like the Republicans going after Snoop Dogg for letting the Olympics have that Greek painting motif at the start. No, I don't think that's comparable. I don't think that's comparable. Also, what they say public and privately can amount to nothing as well. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it. Certainly, essentially, Kamikaze on welcome. It essentially is like, did the Democratic Party forget? Like, that was one of the big things. Like, that was one of the big issues here. Yeah, you can definitely expect her to be, pressed on that, because it is the issue. People don't think it's a big deal, but it is. I think no one talks about it, to be honest. The sitting vice president of an administration that's arming a genocide, right? Like, at the very least, I know that she doesn't do like foreign policy directly, but at the very least have like a position. At the very least, she should recognize that that's a thing. I see what you did there, Fomashina. The Sex Pixels, welcome. I like that. I like that play on words. I think that I only see things about it on Twitter. I mean, like, if she were to come out and be like, "Hey, I hear you, I hear you, let's talk about it." That would be one thing. As president, I can do X or whatever it is. You know, say something. But I feel like there was a better way of handling that situation. Off-world colonist, I was already mad about Harris, but today, she lost me with the way she spoke to those pro-Palestinian protesters. That was disgusting. And I feel like there was definitely a better way of handling it, because that's not gonna go away, just saying. You can argue with me about how much of an impact that's gonna have, but that's not going away. All right, folks, let me get started. Before, the usual disclaimers, if you enjoy the content, thank you. I appreciate you supporting the channel. Keep liking the stream. I see you. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. It really does help us out. Follow us here. Join the Discord. Join the Discord, folks. That's where all the notifications are happening. Last Saturday of this month, there will be a movie night, Dune number 2. Also, consider checking out the merch store, which has been revamped, if you want to continue to support the channel that way. I appreciate it, and thank you guys. She just showed you how she's going to handle strong voices from the public. She's going to point her finger and like a mean school teacher and give you ugly looks like we're children. Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. The response to that was not that. At the very least, one, acknowledge. Two, say like, all right, this is an important issue to the people that I am trying to earn votes from. Let's freaking talk about it, because as vice president, I can't do anything about it. As president, I will whatever. Like it's so simple. It's really that simple. But she chose to react in that way. I mean, Kamala's a cop. What'd you expect? Doesn't matter. She could have handled that any which way. Oh, hello, cat. He made a good example. At least as president, I'll do my best to reduce. Yeah, literally anything of that caliber, or anything of that, anywhere near that would have been far better, in my opinion. Carpetpacks, welcome. Don't say a vote for anyone but Harris is a vote for Trump. By that logic, a vote for anyone but Trump is a vote for Harris. So by voting third party, I'm really voting for everyone. Amazing. True. That's how you really that's how you really do electoral politics. You make sure you vote for everyone. Folks, if you haven't done so, consider checking out twitch.tv/carpetpacks. Go show them some love. I don't disagree that this was very poorly handled, though. Not cool. Hey, Heat, how's it going? When you think about it, universal policies are for everyone, so yeah, I'll be voting for everyone. True. Yeah. And now she's doing biscuits on my leg. Can I at least have my cable? Thank you. Sorry I'm late. Animal Crossing was addictive. Understandable. We need the dough. I need to buy her a little baker's hat. folks, let's get started. That's on the tip jar at a local pizza place. That's actually pretty freaking genius. It is true. They do need dough. You're gonna do the news with me? No.
In the same way that J.D. Vance represented a new target for Democrats to assault, because so much has been said about Donald Trump, and there's almost a sense of like, you know, what new things can you introduce to the public? Although, you know, I did see quotes in the wake of the Republican National Convention that people just hadn't seen him speak, actually, or younger voters in particular, and were like, wow, he is a lunatic. But J.D. Vance became sort of like, you know, a new target-rich environment. They want to do the same with Walz, the Republicans do, because of their complete ineptitude in being able to criticize Kamala Harris without deferring immediately to her race or her gender. They just can't do it. I mean, so
right,
much so that
but they do it anyways. So much so that Republican leadership literally had to tell them, like, to try to not go that route. The couch did not consent.
Leader in the House had to beg them, don't be overtly racist or misogynist.
Exactly. Sam taking the words right out of my mouth.
And here is Ben Shapiro trying to, I guess, tell the American public that this Midwestern guy who looks like literally everybody's dad, like nerdy dad, but also, you know, sort of, he's like just corny enough, but not so corny that you roll your eyes. He's just like right on the brink. And it's also because he was a football coach and a teacher. I mean, he knows how he's coming off. Here's Ben Shapiro just losing his mind a little bit because he just doesn't know. He can't get a toehold here.
I want to know how Ben Shapiro is going to handle the fact that he co-signed Mr. Beast a few months ago. Well, when it comes to things like that, he's just going to ignore it. That's not going to come up. Hey!
Stuff about Tim Walz is not that he presided over the burning down of Minneapolis, and in his own words,
get a toehold here.
Stuff about Tim Walz is not that he presided over the burning down of Minneapolis, and in his own words, abjectly failed.
That's true. That's true, folks. Minneapolis has been burned down, I'm afraid. Doesn't exist. Capitalism needs to sell some water jugs. Indeed.
To stop that from happening. It's not that he's praised socialism. It's not that he's blown out the budget to the tune of a 40% increase in the last year. It's not that he has presided over extraordinary fraud in the state of Minnesota. Of course, you wouldn't expect her to say any of those things. It's that if you go back far enough, he was a high school football coach. And don't you know, he's a teacher and a high school football. He's basically Mr. Feeney, but more athletic. He's like Ed Asner, avuncular, moderate, just one of the boys. You know, a guy who can crack
Pause
a beer.
it for a second. Now, first,
man. They're having a tough time here. That's right. The whole city burned to the ground. January 6th, whatever happened, there was a few broken windows. No casualties, by the way, as Trump says. Oh yeah, the ACAB crowd raised the entire Twin Cities. Yep, they don't exist anymore.
First off, this guy
it doesn't exist anymore.
Is having such a meltdown. First off, I don't know if anybody knows who Ed Asner is anymore. This is like my Bullworth site.
Or Mr. Feeney's a Saved by the Bell reference, which is also another like 30-year-old sitcom. Yeah.
Yes. But Ed Asner was before he died, he was on like the Ed Asner show. He was on the Mary Tyler Moore show. He's an actor. He was to the left significantly of Tim Walz. I mean, Ed Asner was, if I
He was a dem sock. Gotcha.
remember correctly, not only like very sort of like a militant in terms of labor, but I think he was a leftist. So it's not only an aged, reference, although maybe his audience is that old.
Bradley confusing Mr. Feeney and Mr. Belding. Oh,
That they know-
from I just
Who
mentioned
he's
it.
talking about. But if they know who he's talking about, it's not going to make sense to them anyways, because why would you come out and want to appear as Ed Asner?
Per Asner's Wikipedia, he was active in the movement to free Mumia Abu-Jamal. Movement to the movement to establish California One Care, single-payer healthcare in California. He endorsed Kucinich in the 2004 race.
Yeah.
No, you're exactly right, Sam.
Yeah.
He endorsed the DSA back in the 80s. Nice. So hold on. Judds are mad that Kamala chose an unseasoned mayo and tomato sandwich middle American yokel. I thought that's who they want. I thought that's who they thought wasn't. Yeah, no. You can't think too much about it, though. These people don't keep track of what they say. They don't have to. They don't have to. You can't put any logic into it, because it's not going to make any sense. They don't have to keep track of what they say. They don't have to keep track of the inconsistencies, because like that's kind of par for the course, right? You're only supposed to care about this week's outrage, right? The only thing you're supposed to care about is what Fox News or these conservative pundits tell you that you need to be outraged about this week. It doesn't matter if it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't matter if what they said last week is completely opposite. It's just there's no logic to it. It's all just how shall I say it? Feelies. Now I want a sandwich. Doesn't sound too bad of an idea, if I do say so myself. Because he claims to care about unseasoned mayo and tomato sandwich middle American yokels, and they hate that.
But go back.
He was a high school football coach, and don't you know, he's a teacher and a high school football. He's basically Mr. Feeney, but more athletic. He's like Ed Asner, avuncular, moderate, just one of the boys. A guy who can crack a beer and can shoot a rifle, but is also really, really in favor of gun control and transing the kids. That's basically the pitch.
What? Wow, this went from like 0 to like delusional in like real quick.
In favor of Tim Walz. So she does this routine. These rallies are incredibly well choreographed. I will say that. They are very well choreographed. She calls for a chant.
A nice $5 word pen.
And a chant goes up. First Democratic rally I've seen for a while where people start actually cheering USA. And why are they cheering USA? Because she says, what an amazing country this is. What an incredible country where a person like me, middle-class person, or Tim Walz, middle-class person, can become the president and vice president of the
Walz is literally the main profile that MAGA's want in government. Right, but he's a socialist.
United States.
According to them.
Now, I agree with that. But she doesn't agree with that. She believes that America is systemically racist. So does Tim Walz. Tim Walz said back in 2020 that he believes that those riots were a reflection of the great evil that America represented.
Yeah, I mean, police brutality. Specifically, I think there was an incident in that in his very own area. Look how disheveled he is. He's losing it. Yep.
And yet here they are doing.
Listen, off-world colonists. Ben Shapiro is not good for anybody's blood pressure. Okay, so you know what? I apologize. Okay, but yeah, you're right. But Ben Shapiro is not good for anybody. For anybody's freaking blood pressure. He's recording from the closet. It's bad. It's very bad.
Doing the unity routine, and that's what is so false about all of this, is this idea that these folks are real reminders of what brings us together, that what they are really interested in more than anything else is governing for all Americans. They are radically to the left. This is why the Trump campaign has a moral obligation to remind the American people that these people are radically to the left. Okay, so that's all the intro to Tim Walz.
But that's all you have, though. Like, what does that even mean? Like, radically to the left. You're not putting forth any positions because, newsflash, if he did elaborate on the positions that he considers radical left, which is just basically like normal, decent things to do, like, for example, be in favor of universal school lunches, right? Like, that's what he's talking about when he's that's what he's talking about when he's bemoaning Tim Walz for being radical left. He's bemoaning the idea that he actually cares about students and listens to students. He's bemoaning the idea that Tim Walz has some favorability towards labor, and that he showed some pro-union enthusiasm. That's what Ben's talking about, but he can't elaborate on that because then that's not good. Okay, like, yeah, feeding kids puts the means of production in the workers' hands. Yeah, you can see the light from outside through the Louvres. Radical to the left because of trans rights? Yes, exactly. Radical left because you want to you want to see people as human beings. That's right. You want to see trans people as human beings, so that's apparently radical. Remember, they called Michelle Obama a communist for removing cholesterol and sugar from school lunches. That's true.
Wow. Like, has this guy been hanging out with like Don Jr.? There's like there's a freneticism, like a panic.
Comrade Walz. Comrade Walz. He wants to make sure that your children have free school lunch, and make sure that they have the access to the hygienic products that they need. They called her a man for having definition in her arms. Yep, that's right. That's right, Wolfglen.
That is there.
And Carpe.
I don't recall seeing in
maybe played that at 3/4 speed.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he's like, they're being hypocritical. They have a critique of the United States, but yet they say they like it. I don't know if I can believe that. And the Trump administration has a campaign
Jackie
has
Robinson.
a moral requirement to tell people that Harris and are bad.
That's so, that argument's so stupid. It's like saying Jackie Robinson claims there's some color problem in baseball, but there he is behind home plate swinging a bat. So I don't know see what the problem is.
It's so strange. Jackie Robinson says it's hard to get into baseball. Yet there he is. He's playing.
What a hypocrite.
How is that possible?
Ben Shapiro, everybody.
I couldn't help but notice you in the batter's box, Jackie.
Is that a glove on your hand? Oh, well, that seems very weird. Why would you have a glove on your hand if it's so hard to play baseball if you're a black person?
Also, I mean, you got about as many views as in your live as that one did, despite much less subscribers. I think Ben, I don't know, he's better when he goes into makeup first, I think, and gets his hair cut, because he looks a little bit disheveled there.
Honestly, it looks like he's been up all night. Please don't pick Walz.
Yeah.
Please don't pick Walz.
He was hoping for Shapiro.
It really is.
I saw a tweet that Shapiro's mad that Walz got picked because he can't make some like really bad Shapiro play on words joke, and that's why he's big mad.
It really, it's funny how much they're trying to pretend they wanted that Shapiro would be a better pick. It's fascinating.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Oh,
this
there we go.
Is America.
Yep. Her dancing. I know.
Again, they're having trouble figuring out how they're going to attack Tim Walz, because
we missed out on some hot Shapiro on Shapiro action.
They're throwing stuff against the wall and trying to figure out if it's going to stick. And the thing is like all their talk about like Minneapolis and BLM, that's all been litigated already.
Yeah.
That's all been litigated in the 2020 election.
They've got nothing.
That was supposed to be their red wave in 2022.
Exactly. Here is Kevin McCarthy.
Exactly. It's just flopping on the floor with a wet thud. Nothing. They have nothing.
This is the amazing thing about it, is that they do not have any type of like substantive critique they can rely on. Like, you know, of course, like, look, the Democrats are out there calling them weird. You could break it down. You can find like the instances in which they're talking about. But the Republicans can't do that because it's the Republicans are weird. It's just like, that's what normal people think. You know, if they thought it could be effective, they're trying to like, oh, I'm not weird, you're weird. But they cannot communicate any type of vision. They can't even mix it in. So Walz and Harris will say they're weird. And we want lunch for kids in school.
Right, and they have no attack line against that. Look, there's definitely criticisms there's definitely valid criticisms, as we just went over, of Harris, and but the Republicans cannot attack effectively. Period. They've got nothing. They've got nothing.
And we want health care, and we want, labor to, and unions to help the jobs, and they don't have anything to mix it in. So they basically just, they're flailing, and they may not have.
They're very weird. They're the most weird. They're tremendously weird. The weirdest you'll ever see. People keep telling me. I tell you, folks.
Seen the polls, but Bernie Sanders is pretty popular across the board. And it's unclear who Kevin McCarthy thinks he's talking to here on Laura Ingram's show.
And all is well. Is this a smart choice, Tim Walz, for her tonight?
I don't think so. I think this is this choice that Ilhan Omar wanted. This is the ticket they desired. This is the most extreme. This is going from San Francisco to...
Pause it. Incidentally, we should say not only did Ilhan Omar want it, Joe Manchin wanted it.
Yeah, Ilhan Omar, known Democratic kingmaker. The weird thing is so nebulous enough that it's not really easy to get away from unless being the doll which the GOP can't figure out. It's also the same schoolyard bullying level attacks the GOP has done for 30 years, and they don't know how to shut it down. Like a bully getting that well-earned best beat down by their victims. Yes, but somebody, I think it was Cognizant, also pointed out that the reason why they can't, get over this whole weird thing is because, it has to do with, the fascistic ideology. It really irks them, right? The fascistic ideology about degeneracy and all this, they just can't. It really irks them. Specifically the weird thing, right? Subconsciously, it kind of just hits differently for them. Cognizant kind of put it better than I am, but I would add to what you just said that maybe if they if they hop in on stream today, if they hop in on chat, they can re-explain what they said yesterday.
See, Pelosi wanted it.
Although they would think she's left wing too.
Right.
I mean, I don't know who it is that they think is right wing here, but Joe Manchin, he's not even a Democrat anymore.
Well, Kevin McCarthy's not happy with it.
Kevin McCarthy is not happy with this. He realizes that this is the wrong thing for the Democrats to do if they want to win. Go ahead.
Said Ilhan Omar.
You should read or listen to Before the Storm about 64 Barry Goldwater campaign. Is that a book? Because that seems interesting. They want to be the default or something, right? Because if they're not, because if they're not, it kind of subconsciously signals that they're deviants, right? Because they're weird. Does that make sense? And that kind of jars against the whole like, oh, we're against, we're against degeneracy and deviance and all that, fascistic ideology. That's the nebulous part. They know how to get around their accusations and problematic calls. Gotcha. Hard to fight the weird thing when they're doing weird things. But that's the thing. That's also like the cherry on top, Wolf Glenn, is that it's true, right? Like the cherry on top is that it's true.
Wanted. This is the ticket they desired. This is the most extreme. This is going from San Francisco to, here you go into Minnesota, the area that even Ronald Reagan could not win. I mean, this is what's so amazing to me.
They're really trying to do this.
Oh man, the desperation. You can feel it. Okay.
Those freaks in Minnesota.
I love that.
It's so funny because, they tried to do this with Obama where they were like, he's total Chicago politics. And I remember at the time going like, you have to be like 85 years old to even know what that is a reference to.
Yeah.
Like deep dish pizza. And for years, all the San Francisco stuff about Nancy Pelosi was born in an era where there was incredible homophobia. And so the implication was that she was around gay people a lot. And that's what San Francisco politics meant. And then just, it doesn't have the same salience 40 years later where people are like, what is going on with San Francisco? Oh, you mean like tech stuff? Oh, you mean increase in rents?
Yeah.
What? You
People
mean
don't remember
gay
Haight
people?
Ashbury?
No, it's not Haight Ashbury. Well, that was the hippies.
Right, exactly.
But it was the Castro.
Right.
Ah.
That's where the gay pride parades are. And so now they're trying to make Minnesota seem radical. This is
radical left-wing Minnesota. There's something in the water up there.
You see those hats they wear where they got the flaps that come down.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with it. Like, I mean, Jesse Ventura, frankly, the DFL history.
That's right. They're trying to use this no you maneuver.
But I think, it's going to be hard to sell that to the rest of America. It doesn't have that context.
Huh? Stop it. I don't want weird fake games.
You go into Minnesota, the area that even Ronald Reagan could not win. I mean, this is what's so amazing to me. I served with Tim. We came into Congress together. He's known for being the
Incidentally,
Bernie Sanders
I should just
of
remind
Congress.
you.
But to combine those,
you know who Ronald Reagan ran against in that year that he lost Minnesota? Walter Mondale, who was from Minnesota. Go ahead.
To here you go into Minnesota, the area that even Ronald Reagan.
Calling Minnesota some kind of liberal leftist woke bastion of gay is going to look so stupid. It really is. Yeah, the Socialist Republic of Minnesota.
Reagan could not win. I mean, this is what's so amazing to me. I served with Tim. We came into Congress together. He's known for being the Bernie Sanders of Congress, but to combine those two together and to try to ignore what just transpired yesterday, it was the Kamala crash that a lot of 401ks got wiped out. You've got every day you go to the grocery store, Kamala has raised the inflation. You watch every day what's happening at our border. She was in charge of that. What has she accomplished in all of this? I've watched the damage she's done to California. I watched what Tim did to the burning of his own city.
Yeah, true. Once again, Minneapolis doesn't exist, folks. I'm afraid to report that the city of Minneapolis is no longer.
I mean, I think they've gone way too far. And really, had she picked Shapiro, I would have given her a lot of respect. Because
no, you wouldn't have. No, be quiet. Come on. You ain't gotta lie like that. You ain't gotta lie like that. If she would have picked literally anybody, it doesn't matter. You still would have come up with something to say. If the stock market does well, it's all about Trump. If it does poorly, it's not his fault. Correct.
It would have shown she was prepared at least to try to be president, that she'd stand up to her own party. But she's proven today she will not. She's going further left than Paul.
Okay.
I love Republicans talking about standing up to your own party.
Exactly.
Amazing.
You know who was the Bernie Sanders of Congress? Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was in Congress. I think they had an overlap of a year or two, but nevertheless. McCarthy can't even get an analogy right, says the Mill Rind. I mean, it really is amazing. I mean, when you're trying to say, like, now they're going to Minnesota.
Right, yeah. If it does badly, it's because of immigrants and women on Wall Street.
You know,
not capitalism.
Canada, certainly. Are you kidding me?
They'd have gone mid-anti-Semitism if she'd picked Shapiro. Yeah, like they would have literally like gone. It doesn't matter. Like they say, like, oh, I would have given Kamala Harris a little more respect if she would have chosen. Man,
well, we all gonna have to have twin cities, or what about those skywalks? I mean, is America ready for this? To be walking through hallways that are elevated? What is that?
I think having a ticket that speaks to, say, Georgia and California and also Nebraska and Minnesota, just on the two people on the ticket, that's a pretty strong ticket, actually. That is pretty, and honestly, that kind of represents America a little bit better than maybe the real estate guy from New York City and the venture capital sort of foot soldier.
What are we going to do? Have teachers? He's not even a lawyer.
This guy's comparing Walz to Bernie. He's giving me some hope. Yeah, like that's... Don't threaten me with a good time. One nitpick, the Senate and the House are both in Congress. True. Notice how now that Wall Street and CEOs don't look all like them. Now they have a problem with corporatism. Right now it's woke or whatever. Yeah.
Really is amazing how stumped they are. While it's true that guys like Kevin McCarthy and Shapiro don't necessarily know how to attack Tim Walz, there is a guy who does know how to attack Tim Walz. And
it's because they can't.
It's the same way that he would attack anybody, really. And that is to claim that they like people of color or don't have a problem with them or is trying to replace us, if you will, or replace people. I give you former Trump advisor and probably a current Trump advisor, Stephen Miller, on Fox's Laura Ingraham show, talking about Tim Walz.
What, 6% of Wall Street CEOs are non-white dudes? Yep. It's wokeness, I'm telling you.
Tim Walz championed free health care.
Oh, shoot! Well, I mean, close up shop, segment over, cut. We can cut that segment right here. Right, the balding Nazi says what? That's too funny.
For illegal aliens, which will bankrupt America.
No! Providing a human right to people, regardless of where they are, is going to bankrupt America.
He is the biggest booster in the whole country for unlimited refugee resettlement.
No!
That means under the Harris-Walz plan, they're going to turn the entire Midwest into Mogadishu. That's their plan. That's their policy.
Do these guys study economics? No, none at all. And if they do, they're completely ignoring any of that. It's just racism. There's nothing here. It's just Steve Miller's white nationalism on display. That's it. This guy's Satan's older, more evil brother. It's just racism. That's it.
I don't think there's a market for that in the United States of America.
Katie, it looked...
So, like, go ahead, Sam.
No, well, I think that's the point. Like, where does a talking point like that come from, Matt?
The Daily Stormer? Breitbart?
It comes from Nazis on forums. I've seen that Mina Somalia, Mogadishu stuff all the time. And this, Nazi from California, talking about how to preserve the Midwest. I got news for him. Those towns in the Midwest that are losing population right now, that are seeing all the young...
Stormfront, the Daily Stormer. Yeah. Stormfront. Not the... It's Stormfront, not the Daily Stormer. Sorry.
Those ones were formed and sustained by recent migrants populations. And if we don't bring migrants into those communities, continue them and integrate them into this tapestry of America, then those cities will die.
Well, all right.
Isn't the Midwest the widest part of the country? Exactly. That's the whole Nazi dog whistle.
Matt, but were they really migrants? What countries?
Well,
did they
European
come from?
migrants. So.
Okay, well, there we go. So the good kind.
One of the oldest mosques in America.
Not the Mogadishu kind.
Well, speaking of Mogadishu, I mean, one of the earliest mosques in America was in North Dakota. People can look that up. So, from, I believe, Lebanese immigrants.
Apparently, Stephen Miller did not get the memo about trying not to be overtly, or maybe he just thought, look, well, I wasn't overtly racist about Kamala Harris. I was just generally overtly racist.
About all of the immigrants of Minnesota.
Immigrants. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe.
All right. We got a few clips to go through, so I think I'm just going to do this one and then go through the clips. North Dakota is definitely not a progressive place, so I've seen, or not seen, so I've heard.
An administration that has come close to what we've done. I don't think there's ever been an administration that has come close to what we've done.
I got a letter that my student loans have been forgiven.
Okay, y'all, I got my student loans forgiven. So he did what he said he was gonna do.
Over $90,000 of my student loans had been forgiven.
What gives Elizabeth Warren a pep in her step?
That nearly 5 million people in America have seen their student loan debt canceled.
And if you see the type of reactions like this, why not do it for everybody? If you know that this is just doing the right thing, like, man, that, just to be clear, I am glad that these folks got their student debt relief, and I'm glad that many people got better payment plans, and yeah, it just goes to show that, man, what an impact, and it should be expanded.
Student debt cancellation for 5 million people and counting is quite an amazing accomplishment, particularly for a president who initially said,
I will not make that happen.
When he was running for president in 2019, Joe Biden proposed a higher education plan.
You can come visit anytime, ADT. Hey!
And that didn't offer any student debt forgiveness. But thanks to persistent public pressure from young people and progressive leaders,
Canceling student loan debt is the single most effective executive action President Biden can take.
These young people are leaving school deeply in debt. They're struggling economically. They deserve a break.
Candidate Biden was ultimately persuaded, and at the conclusion of the Democratic primary, he pledged to support debt cancellation for up to $10,000 per borrower. And in August 2022, months before a crucial midterm election, President Biden rolled out a detailed plan.
Using the authority Congress granted the Department of Education, we will forgive $10,000 in outstanding federal student loans.
And he even promoted that plan with a video with this guy.
My matter what these Republican officials say, we know student debt relief will make a real difference for people.
43 million Americans would have benefited from it. Unfortunately, the radical right Supreme Court knocked that relief plan down. Thankfully, the Biden administration, especially his Secretary of Education, kept finding other legal avenues to cancel student debt for people.
More than 1 out of 10 people that have student loan have already had their loan forgiven. 1 out of 10. And that's with the Supreme Court striking down our biggest plan.
Now,
it's a huge burden making minimum payments while making minimum wages. Correct. Hard to get a good job even with a degree. Right. And like that's the whole the thing, right? We were sold we were sold this idea that we were supposed to get a degree to get a good job. And so what if you get into student debt? That's supposed to be an investment, and it was never about that. As a lot of people learned, and I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair.
Now, after years of pressure and despite the Supreme Court sabotage, the Biden administration has managed to cancel billions of dollars in student debt. But honestly, I suspect very few of us know all the specifics about what they've done. So I sat down with Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona and Undersecretary James Qual to better understand the specific details of who has gotten relief and why. It feels like month after month, there seem to be new updates coming from your department about yet another program for debt cancellation. Pull us back. What are the principles that are guiding you here, Mr. Secretary?
Over 1 million people go into a default every year. We don't talk about that. This is about supporting our students and leveling the playing field the way the president asked me to do when he hired me. But it's also about recognizing that education is the foundation of our country's growth. We have to invest in it and fix it if we're serious about making sure America reaches its potential. You know, the banks, when they were falling apart, the federal government had help. We're helping working class people now.
Let's start at the outset. How many total people have received student debt relief as a result of the efforts of this department?
About 4.5 million.
So let's start with this 4.5 million as a global pie chart.
Rent is high and houses are expensive. It's all a bit much. Yes, that's true.
How much in total dollars on average do you think that most of these people have received in student debt relief?
Well, it's a total in the order of $150 billion or so. That would be, $25,000, $30,000 a person.
When you think about the biggest pie chart of that 4.5 million, who are those people?
The biggest group are people who were cheated by for-profit colleges or who found their colleges closed. There was an enormous boom in for-profit online education, typically enrolling low-income students, students of color, first-generation college students, and leaving them with very large debts and very poor career prospects.
Yeah, this is a very long way of saying capitalism is predatory and will drain you of everything you've got for the sake of profit.
Often there was high pressure or deceptive recruiting that was illegal. And when a student takes out a loan based upon a legal premise, then we are allowed to forgive that loan.
How many total people do you think generally that is?
That's about 1.5 million people.
Walk us through.
It's wild.
Some of the other major components of the recipients who received student debt relief.
Well, another major group are people in public service. And 15 years ago, Congress passed this law saying if you go into public service, you make payments for 10 years.
Good thing Trump didn't have a university. Oof.
For 10 years, then at the end of that, your loan can be forgiven. But the program was poorly designed. It was administered with indifference. At the start of this administration, only 7,000 people had ever gotten loan forgiveness. And famously, the program had a 99% rejection rate.
Why was this happening? Why was the rejection rate that high?
It was a very complicated and somewhat obscure eligibility requirements that people just didn't understand, or they didn't have the help that they needed navigating the program and getting the benefit.
Man, you know what could have really avoided all of this? Why don't we just, I'm spitballing over here. Why don't we just make universal higher education a thing? We do it for K through 12. It's not like he can distance himself from it with his name on it exactly.
they were entitled to. I mean, we're talking about teachers, nurses, service members, public sector employees, nonprofit employees. We've cleaned up a lot of the tricks and traps that were keeping people from getting these benefits. We also permanently opened up new repayment plans into the program, so you wouldn't be penalized if you didn't enroll in the right plan right away. And as a result of these changes and other types of changes, the number of people...
By the way, like, just also as a side note, because this is like something that personally happened to us. If you have a student loan and you try to get a mortgage, you try to get a home, and you try to get a mortgage, that counts against you. They actually take into consideration your debt to income ratio when considering you for a mortgage. And if they run your credit or whatever and they see that you've got tens of thousands of dollars in student debt, they will look at you and say, we can't really give you a mortgage, even though, we can't really give you a mortgage because your debt to income ratio is pretty big. And I'm sure that has shafted a lot of working class people from being able to get a mortgage for a home. Yeah, as a MAGA would say, wait, you want educated POC? That's right. Uneducated everybody. Willing to put your own kids in jeopardy to screw over others. Yep, the Republican way.
Who have gotten public service loan forgiveness has gone from 7,000 to 870,000.
So we've talked about a couple of sets of actors. Are there other categories of people who've benefited?
Yeah, the next category I would mention is people who've been in repayment for 20 or 25 years or longer. The department has long had a program that says pay what you can afford, and after a couple of decades, if you still owe money, we'll forgive the balance so that student loans don't become a life sentence. In this case, at the start of the administration, only a few hundred people had ever gotten this form of forgiveness. So we were able to give people credit, and as a result, we've forgiven hundreds of thousands of loans for people that, that did their share, that paid their part for many, many years. This was an automatic benefit that we provided, that's really important. And we found that when people have to navigate all these forms and figure it out, they often aren't eligible, even if we know in our own data that they should be eligible.
Do you have a rough sense of how many total people we're talking about who've benefited here?
More than 1 million people.
Are there other programs that you wanted to mention as recipients of student debt relief?
If you have a total and permanent disability, you're eligible to have your student loan forgiven, but we still had them on their books. And in fact, in some cases, they had gone into default and we were garnishing their Social Security payments when the fact that they were even getting those payments meant they were eligible to have their student loans forgiven.
And you came in and helped alleviate it and did it automatically?
That's right.
That's awesome.
And I really want to emphasize, sometimes people say this is about helping doctors and lawyers.
They're transferring wealth from lower income and middle income people to people higher income. It's extremely unfair.
The people that we're helping, these are not highly paid individuals. These are people that don't get the financial ROI from their student loan because they're disabled, because they were cheated by a for-profit college, because they're persistently low income over many, many years.
Right, this is absurd.
So I think there's a real misunderstanding about just how broad the problem of student debt has become in our country and why steps this aggressive are really needed.
To a working class person who says, I didn't go to college, Mr. Secretary, I saw a lot of other people who did and now they're getting their debt forgiven. Why am I, as a working class person, how am I benefiting? What's in it for me here?
Look, this is the administration that's going to make it so that that person can go to college or that person's children.
The best way to summarize an answer to that question is a rising tide lifts all boats, man. It's that simple. A rising tide lifts all boats. Like, just because you yourself didn't get the direct student loan relief, it is better and beneficial for society, which ends up benefiting you regardless, robbing the poor to give to the rich, isn't that what the Republican playbook? Exactly. And now, they're pretending that that's what's happening, when in reality it is helping working class people.
Can go to college and have a good return on investment. I don't want my neighbor to go into default because that hurts the community in which I live.
Exactly.
If Donald Trump becomes
Exactly. That's it. That's literally exactly it.
president, he would eliminate all these student debt forgiveness programs and sabotage the potential for even more borrowers to get relief. And that's only the start. His allies have laid out a blueprint in Project 2025 for abolishing the Department of Education and privatizing student loans. Critics, your critics, they look at what you're doing and they say, I got a solution. Why don't we just abolish the Department of Education?
You know you're doing a good job for the American people when you're living rent-free in their head and they want to take you out. Now, if we let go and don't have a Department of Education, think about the disparities in this country. Think about what's happening with the privatization of K-12 education, where they're proposing taking Title I dollars and turning it into vouchers. It's going to further exacerbate the haves and the have-nots in this country.
Right, and they are perfectly A-okay with that.
Defend public education while they try to defund it.
Yep.
Thanks for watching.
Yep. All right, folks, we're going to have to do these clips and then get into the headlines. Continuing that earlier conversation.
His interaction with Here's Twitchy Tim on stage.
Twitchy Tim, that's the new one, folks. That's right, Twitchy Tim.
Waving profusely in a very unsettling manner. Very unsettling.
Very unsettling.
Men should not move this way. It's not.
How should men move, Mr. Jesse Waters? I wonder.
The way we move, and the handshake.
Who's we?
Probably the most telling. This is Waltz and his wife shaking hands like business associates, followed by a weird hug. Now let's compare that to Waltz's interaction with Kamala's husband, Doug. Interesting.
Interesting. Oh man, these people have absolutely nothing. It's almost like it's just hilarious and entertaining to watch these people just flop it on the floor because they've got nothing.
What's going on here?
Wow.
Here's Twitchy Tim on.
Oh man, they really do have nothing. That's it. They've got nothing. Twitchy Tim. That's it. That's the new one. Since apparently being incredibly insensitive to high schoolers' needs was not effective, they moved from Tampon Tim to Twitchy Tim. Amazing. Earlier today, I would say about 4 hours ago, Donald Trump decided to make a random press conference as a response to Tim Walz. I keep calling him Walz. Being selected as the vice president. He just went on about his usual nonsense, but I gotta say, I actually listened to it because I thought there was going to be some type of important announcement. For a second there, I thought he was going to drop JD Vance. Not kidding. I thought seriously he was going to can JD Vance. But no, that didn't happen. I did notice though, because I haven't seen a lot of Trump's recent speeches or announcements. And I gotta say, the overt fascism is very unsettling. There is no attempt to put it behind any kind of veneer. There's no attempt to hide it, to sugarcoat it. It's just incredibly overt. It was an incredibly overtly fascistic speech, and I think that this, if I got the right clip, I think this one's kind of to I think this one's kind of like what I'm trying to say. The microphones aren't like being put to the reporters, but they're asking him about the peaceful the reporter was asking about the peaceful transfer of power. Online press conference because politicians never answer questions, they only respond to questions. Right.
What's your question? No, I think the people that, if you look at January 6th, which a lot of people aren't talking about very much, I think those people were treated very harshly. When you compare them to other things that took place in this country where a lot of people were killed, nobody was killed on January 6th.
That's not true.
But I think that the people of January 6th were treated very unfairly. And they were there to complain, not through me, they were there to complain about an election. And, you know, it's...
The reporter's asking if there was a peaceful transfer of power. Okay. Exactly, it's a lie. The reporter's asking, do you think there was a peaceful transfer of power? There wasn't. Hello, January 6th, which is why he's trying to, you know, respond to it in this manner. Trump is going to debate Harris. That was the one thing that was the one thing that we did gather from this. Yes, that is the one thing we did gather from this. Is that he is going to debate her.
Very interesting. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken to.
Yeah, so he went from not answering at all, because obviously the answer is no, there wasn't a peaceful transfer of power. There was a literal insurrection, bro, that you incited. So, yeah. And then he went on to try to compare his crowd size to Martin Luther King. So, yeah. So after that press conference, the only thing that we gathered that's of note is that the rhetoric that Trump is espousing is just overtly fascistic. There's no doubt. There's no doubt about it. He knows what he's saying. You know, it's quite clear the type of people he's spending time with. That right, they're just tourists. Very peaceful tourist. It is kind of jarring to hear. If you did see the press conference, it was a bit jarring. An overtly fascistic speech should never be normalized. You shouldn't consider this normal. This shouldn't be normalized at all. Even though we've heard Trump over and over and over again, man, just listening to him today was pretty not good, not great, not good. Trump says he has agreed to offer from ABC News to debate Harris. Former President Trump says he has agreed to an offer from ABC News to debate Vice President Kamala Harris on September 10th. Trump said so during the news conference at his Mar-a-Lago club on Thursday today. Harris also confirmed their participation in this debate. He has a knack for normalizing horrible concepts. Yeah, but like specifically, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I haven't heard or haven't seen one of his speeches in a long time. But yeah, it was particularly it was particularly jarring this time. Then again, I have just purposely stopped watching and covering his rallies because it's all the same nonsense. It's literally all the same nonsense, all the same classic talking points over and over and over again. So I kind of just stopped covering it for a while, and yeah. Can we rename the untailored solid blue suit with red tie the American dictator? Yeah, that's a good. That's actually. I'll take that. Trump previously said he would be willing to go toe-to-toe with President Biden and agreed to ABC's first invitation to shoot out in May. However, after Biden dropped out of the race last month, Harris became the presumptive nominee. Trump had implied that he would not debate Harris on ABC. Harris has accused Trump of running scared and trying to back out of the debate, but it seems like at least one debate is happening. He mentioned three. He mentioned 3 dates, and it seems like one is definitely happening. Sorry, I don't need any more bags. I'm good. Thank you. Shifting gears, folks. July ends a 13-month streak of global heat records as El Nino ebbs, but experts warn against relief. Earth's string of 13 straight months with new average heat records came to an end this past July as natural El Nino climate pattern ebbed, the European Climate Agency Copernicus announced on Thursday today. But July 2024's average heat just missed surpassing the July of a year ago, and scientists said the end of the record-breaking streak changes nothing about the threat posed by climate change. The overall context hasn't changed, said Copernicus' deputy director Samantha Burgess in a statement. Our climate continues to warm. Human-caused climate change drives extreme weather events that are wreaking havoc around the globe, with several examples just in the recent weeks. In Cape Town, South Africa, thousands were displaced by torrential rain, gale-force winds, flooding, and more. A fatal landslide hit Indonesia's Sulawesi Island. Hurricane Beryl left a massive path of destruction as it set record for the earliest Category 4 hurricane, and Japanese authorities said more than 120 people died in a record heat in Tokyo. Wow. Those hot temperatures have been especially merciless. The globe for July of 2024 averaged 62.4 degrees Fahrenheit, or 62.4 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 1.2 degrees above the 30-year average for the month, according to Copernicus. Temperatures were a small fraction lower than the same period last year. Yeah, it is horrible. It is the second warmest July and second warmest of any month recorded in the agency's records, behind only July of 2023, last year. The Earth also had its 2 hottest days on record, July 22nd and July 23rd, each averaging about 62.9 degrees. Copernicus had previously identified July 21st and 22 as the hottest days, but changed that based on updated data. During July, the world was 1.48 degrees Celsius warmer by Copernicus measured than pre-industrial times. That's close to the warming limit that nearly all countries in the world supposedly agreed to in the 2015 Paris Agreement. El Nino, which normally warms the Pacific Ocean and changes weather across the globe, spurred the 13-month record heat, said Copernicus senior climate scientist Julian Nicholas. That has come to a close, hence July's slight easing of temperatures. La Nina conditions, natural cooling, aren't expected until later in the year. Did we do cute animal videos? Should we bring that back? Should we bring that back? But there is still a general trend of warming. The global picture is not that much different than we were a year ago, said Nicholas in an interview. Quote, the fact that the global sea surface temperature is and has been at a record or near record levels for the past more than a year now has been an important contributing factor. The main driving actor behind this record temperature is also the long-term warming trend that's directly related to the buildup of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. That includes CO2 from burning fossil fuels such as coal and natural gas. July's temperature hit certain regions especially hard, including Western Canada and the Western United States. They baked with around 1/3 of the U.S. population under warnings at one point for dangerous and record-breaking heat. All right, I'll start the poll. Let's do it. July's temperature certainly hit certain regions especially hard, including the Western Canada and Western United States. They baked with around 1/3 of the U.S. population under warnings at one point for dangerous and record-breaking heat. In Southern and Eastern Europe, the Italian Health Ministry issued its most severe heat warning for several cities in South Europe and the Balkans. Greece was forced to close its biggest cultural attraction, the Acropolis, due to excessive temperatures. A majority of France was under heat warnings as the country welcomed the Olympics in late July. Also affected were most of Africa, Middle East, and Asia, and Eastern Antarctica, according to Copernicus. Temperatures in the Antarctica were well above average, scientists said. Things are going to continue to get worse because we haven't stopped doing the thing that's making them worse, said Gavin Schmidt, climatologist and director of the Goddard Institute for Space Studies, who wasn't part of the report. Schmidt noted that different methodologies or calculations produced slightly different results, including that July may have even continued the streak. The primary takeaway, he said, even if the record-breaking streak comes to an end, the forces that are pushing the temperatures higher are not stopping. Does it matter that July is a record or not a record? No, because the thing that matters and that it is impacting everybody, Schmidt added, is the fact that temperatures this year and last year are still much warmer than they were in the 1980s, than they were pre-industrial, and we're seeing the impacts of that change. People across the globe shouldn't see relief in July's numbers, the experts say. There's been a lot of attention given to the 13-month streak of global records, said Copernicus's Nicholas, but the consequences of climate change have been seen for many years. This started before June 2023, and it won't end because the streak is ending. The streak of records is ending. Yeah. I can't wait for the VP debate where Governor Walz's opening statement is, "It looks like meat is back on the menu," and proceeds to rhetorically turn Vance into a bloody stain on the floor. Oh my goodness. Speaking of which, 3 swing states go from leading GOP to toss-up, Cook Political Report. In a sign of Democrats' new momentum, the nonpartisan Cook Political Report reclassified 3 key swing states from leaning Republican to toss-up in its analysis of the latest 2024 presidential race. Vice President Kamala Harris is facing a time crunch to close the gap with former President Trump in battleground states that Democrats have been projected to lose when Biden was the nominee. These new electoral college ratings follow recent CBS polling that showed Trump and Harris are tied across collective battleground states as the Democratic ticket continues to eat away at Trump's lead over a pre-bow-out Biden. The Cook Political Report announced changes to its electoral college rating on Thursday, reclassifying Arizona, Nevada, and Georgia as toss-ups. Look at that, folks. Look at that. Biden won each by a narrow margin in 2020. CPR has moved Arizona, Georgia, and Nevada from toss-up to lean Republican last month as Biden resisted calls from his own party to exit the race. 3 weeks ago, CPR's Amy Walter wrote, Trump led Biden in Cook's national vote tracker by around 2.5%. Now, by their measure, Harris is leading Trump by less than 1 point. Battleground state polls are showing similar results, with Harris cutting into Trump's lead by anywhere from 2 to 5 points. From 2 to 5 points. Things look a lot better for Democrats today than they did a few weeks ago, but Trump is looking stronger now than he did in 2020, which makes it a toss-up. Pennsylvania is considered the most hotly contested state, as both campaigns are on track to spend more than double on advertising there compared to any other swing state, according to Axios analysis of ad impact data. The Keystone State and its 19 electoral votes are also classified as a toss-up per Cook's current ratings, along with Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Remember, just a couple weeks ago, all of these were in the losing direction. North Carolina remains classified as leaning Republican per CPR. So, definitely, Biden stepping out of the race was inarguably the play. Like, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Personal finances, net worth of Walz and Vance show stark differences. I actually caught this discourse on the Twitter.com where this account was basically trying to say that because Walz has no... hold on, I got it right here. And of course, Ben Shapiro decided to chime in. I had to save a screenshot because I had to save screenshot because I was not able to operate on the Twitter. I was not able to repost this. Are you back on yet? Yes, I am. So I had to I had to save the screenshot. So this account on Twitter put that Tim Walz has zero investments in stocks, bonds, crypto, real estate, index funds, mutual funds, private equities, retirement accounts. And the implication that he put at the end was the potential VP is financially illiterate. Which, number one, just because you don't have investments in any of these accounts does not mean that you're financially illiterate. In fact, I would say that most investors, like high rolling Wall Street people, they're not the ones making like the direct decisions. They have like accountants. But the reason why he doesn't have any of these investments is not because he's financially illiterate. It's because he literally explained this. He literally explained that he believes that this presents a conflict of interest, which is true. He believes that having ties to Wall Street presents a conflict of interest in a politician, and he did this in Congress. He said this in Congress. He supported the Stock Act for this very reason, and of course, Ben Shapiro decided to chime in and say, "quote Right, he's not financially vulnerable, exactly." To which Ben Shapiro decided to chime in and say, quote, "This would explain the socialism," which is just amazing. Amazing. That's the retort, or that's the thing that he gathered from that. Yeah. Bring Back Cute Animal Videos has won. The people have spoken. The majority party vice presidential, the major party vice presidential nominees, Democrat Tim Walz and J.D. Vance, sharply disagree on a range of issues. The differences in their personal finance are just as stark. Minnesota's Governor Tim Walz, a former teacher and member of the U.S. House of Representatives, earns about $127,000 in salary per year, retains no stock holdings, and relies on a pension account as his primary asset, financial disclosures show. By contrast, Senator J.D. Vance was a former venture capitalist, bought in roughly $221,000 in 2022 former salary and book royalties, as well as hundreds of thousands of investment income, a U.S. Senate financial disclosure showed. He also held significant wealth in brokerage accounts, dozens of business investments, according to the financial disclosure. I guess for the title of Walt's future biography, I'm betting from the schoolhouse to the White House. Hey! Integrity, what is that? As governor, Tim Walz earns a salary of $127,629 in 2019. Walz reported a pension account worth as much as $100,000, as well as a life insurance plan with a value of $50,000, according to financial disclosure that year. Walz does not invest in any stocks, bonds, or other securities, according to the U.S. House disclosure in 2019. As of January, Walz continued to forego ownership of any securities, a Minnesota financial form shows. Walz, he does not invest in real estate either. Walz and his wife, Gwen, appear to have sold their homes in Mankato after gaining access to the governor's mansion, the Minnesota form shows. As of 2019, Gwen Walz earned income from a Minnesota public school and law firm Hogan Lovells, according to the U.S. House disclosure. In all, the couple carried a net worth of $112,000 and $330,000 in 2019, according to the disclosure. Tim Walz's pension could add up to an additional $800,000 to the couple's net worth, a Wall Street Journal estimated. As when you're trying to squeeze every red cent out of everyone and everything you can, you have the moral opportunity to think and act for benefit of others. Who would have thought? True. The disclosure filed in Minnesota in January offers little additional detail about Walz's finances. Walz does not own a business, earn speaking fees, or even hold horse racing interests. Wow. What are JD Vance's personal finances? Vance took in more than $1 million in 2022, according to the U.S. Senate Financial Disclosure Form. Those earnings including roughly $110,000 in salary at venture capital firm Naria Capital Management, as well as $121,000 in royalty payments for sales of his book. Vance also made hundreds of thousands in investment home income from holdings such as real estate rental fees and stock dividends. Vance holds a hold of assets including brokerage accounts, cryptocurrency, real estate, and investments in dozens of businesses. In 2022, Vance valued his real estate holdings between $500,000 and $1 million and declared possession of as much as $250,000 worth of Bitcoin, and the 2022 disclosure form said. A set of mutual and exchange traded funds held by Vance was worth as much as $3.25 million combined. Jesus! Vance's wife, Usha Vance, earned more than $1,000 in salary from the Washington, D.C.-based law firm Munger, Tolles & Olson in 2022. In all, Vance and his wife boast a net worth of $4 million and $10 million, excluding real estate, a Wall Street analysis found. Yeah. So, a stark difference. Vance's portfolio demonstrates he's an a-hole. 100%. 100%. I mean, you could see it in his attitude. So the right wing tried to spin this as financial illiteracy, but that's not going to fly. It just means that he has some sort of semblance of integrity, and that's a good thing. Effectively, what the right wing's attacks have shown. Essentially what the right-wing attacks have shown is that they're actually okay with politicians being corrupt. That's what this tells us. That's what this tells us. All right, folks, we did it. We got through everything. And it's the weekend, folks, basically. It's the weekend, so I'm going to call it just a few minutes early today. Folks, I appreciate you guys stopping by. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to hit the follow button. It really does help us out. For those of you on the YouTube, I see you. Thank you for continuing to like the stream. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Keep following us here on Twitch. Join the Discord, folks. Join the Discord. That's where it's happening. Mouselander, thank you. Appreciate it. Angeline Silva, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it and welcome. Last Saturday of the month, we're going to do movie night Dune numero dos. Dune 2. If you want to keep supporting the channel, there are many different ways of doing so. Consider checking out the merch store, which has just relaunched itself a couple weeks ago, and it's pretty friggin' awesome. I'm actually really, really proud of that. Out of the new merch store, so definitely consider checking that out if you haven't done so. Thank you for all the support you guys have done. Thank you that you guys are what keeps this channel growing. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Heat. I appreciate it. Yeah, Spice be flowing. Just join the Discord. I'm holding the fort on YouTube. Thank you. I appreciate it. I see you guys on YouTube. Don't be shy. I see you guys. We're heading out. Thank you guys again. Join the Discord. Consider checking out the merch store. Thank you, Heat, thank you, Michael Hassler, for modding the chat. I appreciate it. We're out of here, folks. We're back on Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one, Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern. See ya. Hang tight, folks. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.